All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in today's video. Folks, just a little over a week away from the time of this recording, the Bengals have regular season football, and I'm absolutely amped up. I think Cincinnati's going to be a team that wins around 11 or 12 football games. I love their schedule. It just simply comes down to health. There's a lot of new pieces. All right, there is. It's a lot of rookies. It's a couple of new safeties. It's a new running back, new starting running back. You've got a new starting tight end. It's a really interesting team. All right. I think, once again, the Cincinnati Bengals are my Super Bowl pick. I think they're going to square up against the Detroit Lions, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Let's get into some talking points because, I was reading some articles, and I think it was The Athletic. They did, why a team will win the Super Bowl or a contender and why a contender won't win the Super Bowl. And it just kind of had me thinking about that Bengals defense because the Bengals were on that list, and a lot of people have concerns with your defense, with this Bengals defense. It has nothing to do with talent to me. They fixed what they needed to fix as far as the defense back room, new safeties. Their health is not necessarily on their side with the Cam Sample injury for the season and then Miles Murphy starting the season on IR. It's not ideal, but on paper, the Bengals definitely have a Super Bowl caliber defense, once again, on paper. So health, whether it's Joe Burrow, whether it's one of my wide receivers, whether it's any player on my defensive side, that really is the only thing that can derail the Cincinnati Bengals season like it did last year, in my opinion. So we're going to run through Cincinnati in today's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, along with at least one Bengals video every single week. Bengals fans, NFL fans, we try and get this video to 100 likes. That would mean the absolute world to me. So we did this like last week, 2024 NFL total win predictions for all 32 teams. That's an article that The Athletic did. They had a model, right? And then you had the beat writers for those respected teams, kind of react to it. So they actually had the Cincinnati Bengals win in 10.2 football games, and I think that's a little bit on the lower side, but it is a model. They were, I think, like a top 5, top 6 team in that list. So, one thing's clear. When Jamar Chase, I shouldn't even say, I don't think Jamar Chase will sit for any football games this upcoming season, but as long as I have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Cincinnati is going to be one of the best offenses in the National Football League. So let's give just a quick excerpt from what Paul Denner Jr. had to say. The Bengals had a fully healthy Joe Burrow for just 5.5 games last year. Their defense looked nothing like it was without Jesse Bates and Von Bell. They played one of the toughest schedules in the league. Very little went right. They still won 9 games. A projection of 10.2 is solid, but I'd be more comfortable going over than under. They have questions, no doubt, but they added veteran safeties. The schedule appears dramatically easier. The offensive line is as solid as Burrow has played. As long as Burrow is healthy, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins outside, 10 wins feels like the floor. So pretty much exactly what we've been saying here. We're going to get to this defense in just a second. I'm really excited long-term, especially about guys like Josh Newton. Geno Stone comes in from Baltimore. Von Bell comes back, spent that year in Carolina. The safety room was the biggest issue for me with the Cincinnati Bengals last season. Biggest issue by far. On paper, this defensive line is extremely solid. You have Trey Hendrickson, B.J. Hill, Shendon Rankins, Sam Hubbard. It does get a little bit deeper, but like I said, a bunch of these cats are injured. You did draft Chris Jenkins. He's going to need to have a nice rookie season, providing depth and talent. But then your linebacker room still as good as ever. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt. I get some question marks defensively, but once again, man, it just comes down to health. So Austin Mock, athletic writer, did an article on why each of the 10 Super Bowl contenders will or won't hoist the Lombardi Trophy in February. And, offense was pretty obvious. You've got an easier than expected schedule or path because of your schedule. You've got, one of the best offenses in the league. If Joe Burrow is healthy, once again, it's at worst, even if you're a nitpicker and maybe, a fan of a different AFC North team, I think you'd still agree Cincinnati's going to be a top 10 offense at worst as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy. So the big question mark comes down to defense. Now, one thing that is in my back pocket is Coach Lou. I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. But here's what Austin Beck had to say about why they won't win the Super Bowl. The defense isn't championship caliber. The Bengals ranked 25th in EPA per play on defense last year, so it's going to take them an awful lot to get back into the top 10. My model has them projected to be an average unit entering the season, and that's likely not good enough considering where the offense is. Burrow's a great quarterback, but I don't think he's shown the ability to carry an average defense to a Super Bowl. So one thing that really stood out to me on 53-man day, the cut day, a couple of days ago, 12 of the 53 players on the Bengals initial roster that are rookies. So Cincinnati sat and picked 10 times in 7 rounds in this last year's draft. They all made the roster, and they even added a couple of UDFAs. It's a little bit of a younger group. You've got Dax Hill, Cam Taylor-Britt, still extremely young, DJ Turner, extremely young, Josh Newton, Chris Jenkins, Miles Murphy. You need somebody to step up and just help get this defense to that elite level that it was a couple of seasons ago. And my money's on a dude like Miles Murphy. Unfortunately, he is going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season, but this guy is huge. I think he's going to be a star in the National Football League. So you ended up picking defensive end KJ Henry. He was with Washington last year. He only played in like 12 games. He actually did really solid. This was a 5th-round pick back in 2023, so he's only entering his 2nd year. He came from Clemson, and the Bengals' current defensive line coach used to be at Clemson as well. So the connection makes sense. But once again, Cam Sample's done for the season, entering his 2nd year, and Miles Murphy is also injured. So I'm looking at a couple of guys in my rookie room on the defensive end or on the defensive side of things to help this defense, because once again, on paper, the starters are extremely solid. Yeah, maybe you're hoping, a young kid like Dax Hill is, ready for this opportunity, but everything I've seen on the field and training camp, etc., shows me he is ready for it. But I'm looking at players like Chris Jenkins, Miles Murphy, obviously, but Chris Jenkins had 8.5 sacks in 3 seasons with Michigan. 4.5 of them were last season. He's just a great football player, and he's going to be a huge key cornerstone, in my opinion, long-term to Cincinnati. But if it happens right away in his rookie season, that's going to elevate your squad. McKinley Jackson, unfortunately, starting the season on IR. Round 6, 212. I got my eye on Cedric Johnson. This was an edge rusher out of Ole Miss. If you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you know my thoughts on SEC football players. I think they're bound for success. One thing that's just really stood out to me is he's an edge rusher, but he had 5.5 sacks and 10 starts for Ole Miss last year. If one of these players, one of these rookies, Josh Newton, Chris Jenkins, Cedric Johnson, 2nd-year players, Miles Murphy, if one of these guys can just really turn it on. And once again, I think the odds are in their favor for one of these kids to turn it on. Josh Newton had a phenomenal preseason. Then that helps get the Cincinnati Bengals to an above average unit. But my point more so is if you're healthy, if this defense stays healthy, which obviously is very important, it mainly just want to be healthy come playoff time, then I do think with Coach Lou especially, this defense will be above top 15, above top 16. I think they'll be slightly above average at worst. You pair that up with a most likely around top 5 offense. And yeah, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals winning probably 12 football games with this schedule. So thank you guys for watching. That's it for today. Hit that like button, hit that sub up. Guys, give me 2 things. Give me a win prediction for Cincinnati down below, and give me any thoughts you have about this defensive unit on the 53-man roster. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend. See you.